And we're back with Riding with Junebuggy. And tonight we do something just a little different. We're actually on a Zoom call tonight. And tonight we get to start back to school month, even though we're releasing the episode the week before August, the last week before August. Man, we get to talk about high school football. We get to promote locally tonight, and we get to promote good man. So without further ado, introducing to you guys, he is the host of Football Focus Weekly, which airs Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. He's the host of Friday Night Live Football, which airs 11:45 on Facebook and YouTube every Friday throughout the regular season and the playoffs. And he is a lead scout for Carolina Prep Red Zones. He is the founder of Football Focus Weekly. He is the pet man, Matt Marrow. Pep, how's it going, man? Thanks for doing this, man.
I'm doing good. I appreciate the time to speak with you, and you obviously did your homework, and usually most people don't know when we're coming on, so
well,
I appreciate that.
Well, let me start there. I was introduced to you by a friend, believe it or not, and he said it was a podcast, first of all, and I said, this looks like a web show. So either way you look at it, and I started watching back in season 5. You had a guy from Winston on at season 5, Fowler, I believe is his name.
And Friday Night Fowler is what we call him.
Right. So and ever since then, man, I've been bringing love back for high school football. And man, I've been wanting to tell you this ever since I saw the segment. Do you remember season 6? I believe it was the last preseason episode. You did a segment called Wing Analysis. Do you remember that?
Those are the most memorable segments. It's funny, the football stuff, is what we're known for, but it seems like when we go to different topics, those become the most memorable things from the show. So yes, I definitely remember that.
Man, I don't think I ate wings that much until after I watched y'all's segment. Like I went to Bojangles and I paid, and I thought $17 for this is ridiculous, but I'm gonna try it. and they were good at the time, but man, it made me think I need a local wing place. So I ended up finding one, and it was actually in Gay Lakes, Virginia, but then I don't travel there a lot, so I ended up having to find another one, which is 10 minutes up the road in an Italian restaurant. We get pizza and wings about every night. My wife's sick of it now, so I have to sneak it in, man. So, man, not only did you bring love for football back, but you brought my love for wings back, man. Y'all do such a good job on that show, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So much.
Man, before we get too deep into it, let's talk about this little lighthearted topic. You and me are both Panthers fans, and what do you think the Panthers are doing this year, man? Are playoffs again or what?
Well, I think they've done some good things with the roster. Obviously in the draft they kind of hedged their bets a little bit, went for the future with the left tackle pick. But what they did in free agency, I thought was impressive with Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd coming in to help the defense. It just seems like they're really focused on trying to get kind of veteran players that know what they're doing on defense, and they're really trying to build the offense around Bryce Young, which I don't think is a bad option, because if Bryce continues to develop, the future of this team is going to be offensive led with the young guys that they've been putting around Bryce on offense, while that defense is going to kind of cycle out a little bit. So I get what they're doing from a team building perspective. I love what Dan Morgan has done in finding some young guys that were overlooked, kind of like Jalen Coker, who really stepped up in the playoff game.
Man, he played good this year, didn't
he? Yeah. And then, they found a couple of guys like Corey Thornton defensively, who looks like he's going to step up and play the nickel again. So I think Dan Morgan's done a great job. Obviously, Canales has come in and, changed the culture. I really like that he gave up play calling to Idzik, because he can really kind of focus on being a full-time head coach, which I think, this team really needs, because they are still young. And some of those game management things we saw last year, he can, really dial in on. So, yeah, I think they can win the division again. I think Tampa, will come back strong.
Oh yeah.
New Orleans, we owe them, obviously.
So big time.
And Atlanta, I think Atlanta's going to take a step back. New leadership, they want to kind of get Matt Ryan, what he wants to establish. So I think this might be a little bit of a rebuilding year for them.
You think it's Penix or Tagovailoa?
I think Tua will start. I think they're going to try to bring Penix back slowly after that injury. And then Tua's on a 1-year deal. You might as well use him since you got him,
Sure.
because Penix is more of a long-term deal right now. So,
you think it's helped out that Tepper stepped back a lot?
Yeah. I think he realized he talked to some people and realized that you hire people to do the job, and that's what he's done here. And getting out of the way and letting Dan Morgan and Dave Canales and Brant Tillis do their job, and you're starting to see some dividends pay from that. So, yeah, you got to give Dave Tepper some credit. He had to learn being a new owner. You think you know everything. You come in, you spend all this money on a football team. And I mean, to a degree, it buys you some, right to say what you want to see. But at the same time, you can't do everything. And, you see what Jerry Jones has done in Dallas. And that ain't been working. So
I go to church with a lot of Cowboys fans. I go to church with a lot of Cowboys fans, and well, not a lot, but a couple. And I always go up and say, just go ahead and say it. Say it's our year. Let's get this out of the way. And then you'll realize, then we got a Commanders fan in there that always loves to rib them when, Dallas loses every game, even if they beat the Commanders. Is this a make or break year for Bryce?
I don't know if it's make or break per se, because look at what we've seen around the league. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Sam Darnold. With their franchises, they didn't, work out initially, but they bounced back.
And Sam Darnold just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. So from the Panthers' perspective, make or break, if you're talking about a long-term contract, maybe, but I don't, even if he doesn't progress this year, I don't think they just let him go. I think, they'll carry out that 5th-year option and play it out and, see what happens. I mean, we're just talking about a contract extension right here. So, and make or break for the contract extension, probably so. But for the franchise, I don't think so.
Well, and I can tell you, I don't think I've seen a player that gets benched like that, that's in the spotlight, come back and do better in a long, long time. And he took that, and he didn't go power. He didn't do anything. He still was a leader on that team. So and I gained a lot of respect for that kid after he did that. So, like you said, contract maybe, team, I don't see that, but that's what I was going for. Man, let's get into it, man. Let's first start. You just came off of the Mega Showcase back in May. I think it was May 16th, if I'm correct. I may have my dates off just a little bit. Yep. And let's talk about that. First, you were at a new high school this year, first time ever, Valentine Ridge.
Yep.
And you had 270 players. Is that right? Am I close on that?
Yeah, we had over 270 registered. Yeah, that's
okay. Talk about that for a minute. Talk about the new school, how that all went, and then talk about just some things you saw from the showcase in general.
Yeah, well, doing it at Valentine Ridge, every year we kind of analyze, how the previous showcase went, what we can do to, kind of make things better, what opportunities are out there. And we like to move it around because I always hear a lot from coaches that want to host events at their schools, and Valentine Ridge, Coach Tyson Fernandez reached out to me and was interested in hosting the showcase. And, we had a couple different options. And, when Coach Fernandez reached out, he kind of, went through the different, positives of hosting at Valentine Ridge, and we worked through the details and the logistics. And And it ended up being a really, really good location. From where the school's located, most people may not know watching this, but it's right off of 485 near the Ballantyne area, hence the name.
Ballantyne, it's near Ballantyne Commons, right?
Yes, it is.
I know exactly where it is. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's a well, I say brand new, but they've only been open for a couple years. And
He's the first head coach, isn't he?
no, he's the second head coach.
Oh,
The first head coach was Chris Redding, who got a job to coaching college after his first
okay.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful facility, and they hosted us and did a good job. The unique thing about Ballantyne Ridge, they have 2 turf fields, which in Charlotte is very hard to find.
Now, when you say that, explain that. Is that a practice field and a playing field, or 2 playing fields?
Yeah, they have a practice field that's turf and a playing field that's turf. So
wow, that's rare.
You can do a lot of stuff with that when you're hosting big events like ours.
Wow. Did y'all did the playing field, right? I'm on this.
Well, we used both fields because, having 270 kids on one field, we've done it before. Actually, we did it last year at Rocky River, but it's not ideal. And you have to do things in a unique fashion, and we were able to make it work at Rocky River, but it flowed a lot better at Ballantyne Ridge this year. Overall, the showcase was really great. We ended up with over 20 college football programs and probably over about 45 college football coaches that came out and scouted and recruited all of our players in attendance. We had double-digit players receive offers after the showcase already.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it really is. We had a really talented group of young men. And, even, from when we're recording this podcast, some of those players have gone on to pick up offers from other schools. Just off of the exposure that we gave from the showcase. It's really, really exciting for us to see a player break out. Get their first offer, or they have a really big day. And we had some young kids who really played well at this showcase. And because we use our platform to promote those kids, now they're getting a lot more attention. And, one of the things that I always stress about our showcase is, you come in with the hope to get an offer that day, but it's about building relationships. And, the great thing about our showcase is you get to meet all these different programs, all these different coaches right in your backyard. You don't have to spend all summer traveling like some of these kids are that you see out here, going to this school and that school and spending all this money. And you know how gas is and food is, everything's expensive.
Well, tell them. I don't mean to interrupt you, but tell them about give everybody an inside look of what you charge for this camp. Because when I see that price, and you're paying for not just one college coach to show up, you're paying for multiple ones. Man, you guys got the cheapest deal in town.
The one of the main reasons why this showcase was started was because we saw the pricing going on out here and what people were giving for that pricing. And it is just ridiculous, that these people charge what they charge and provide the experience for these kids that they were getting.
Right.
We charge $99, and that's our base price. And it's very rare that I go over that base price, and the only time I do is if our expenses are really, having to change because our numbers are so high. People don't understand there's a cost to doing football showcases.
Oh, sure.
And we hold it at the lowest possible price point because for me, it's not a business. A lot of people do this stuff as a business. You'll see different entities out here offering, I won't name names, but but they offer, college coaches in person. They offer recruiting information. They offer, a slick shirt or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And when you go to it, it's not even as good as what we offer. I mean, you get your own, obviously you get your own CFI shirt with us. You get, college coaches that are going to be there in a good number. And you're going to get reps, when you go through the showcase. You're going to get a chance to prove yourself. And, the proof's in the pudding every year. Every year, kids come out with offers at every showcase we do. They make relationships with these college coaches, which is what it really is all about,
Right.
And that's what we stress, to the kids and the parents is you can meet 20 different schools here. And, from that, you can determine which schools you want to go to this summer. You don't have to go to 15 different schools and see if they're really interested in you or, they have.
That saves money in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why we do it, and these other, offerings of camps and showcases, they come in and, they try,
Right.
I think Charlotte, in all honesty, they don't come into Charlotte very often, because they know of who we are and what we do. And they try to stay away from coming into the city. I mean, if you really kind of study this stuff, there's not another mega camp in Charlotte. I think we're a big reason why.
No, man. And you said you had over 270 registered, and I was paying attention. You guys placed a gap on a lot of these positions this year. Am I right on that? Is that something that was new for you, or is that something that?
No, it's not new. It's something we really try to do. And to be honest with you, the interest was exponential, and we had to expand what we were going to do. Our cap this year was going to be 180. That was our cap.
Oh man.
And when we hit the cap with a month to go, I said, guys, we have to figure this out.
We might have to do something here, guys.
We had this, and this is why, at the end, our pricing went up because we had to add staff.
Yeah.
You have to change your insurance with the number of people expected in the stadium. We like to give out, a little snack and drink after the showcase. So luckily we got a sponsor for that at the last minute.
Oh, wow.
But there's a lot of costs that go into doing a showcase the right way. And because we do it the right way, we always, we have a goal.
Oh yeah.
And it's people tell me this all the time that I could have 300 and 400 people at a showcase. And I mean, if I wanted to run it and make all the money in the world, we could do that. But that's not our goal. We keep it at a maximum number, and 270 is probably that max, where we know we can run the showcase efficiently, where kids are going to get reps and they're going to get an opportunity to showcase what they can do. And instead of just taking everybody's money and running the showcase for 2 reps and, saying, have a nice day, that's not what we're about at all.
Well, what people don't understand either is not only, and I watched your interview with Chacha Sullivan at the regional final, man. It was a great interview, by the way. And something he said that really stuck with me. But you guys are not only just preparing these guys to go play football at the next level, man, you're preparing them for college. You're helping them get to college. I mean, people don't see that aspect of it either.
Right. I was telling a parent the other day, they were asking me about recruiting, and they were saying some of their teammates, their son's teammates, were getting offers and they weren't getting offers. And, I told them, I said, well, you have to start sitting down and pinpointing and thinking about where your son wants to live, not only just play football. He's going to be a student there, and he's going to live for at least a year. So you have to think about it outside of just what's on the field, and it kind of changed their mindset a little bit. And, they were saying, okay, that makes sense. I'll sit down with him and start, thinking about where he might want to live. And,
right.
when you start breaking it down and thinking about it that way, everyone focuses on the football aspect of college, but it's college.
Yeah,
You're not
absolutely.
just there to play football.
No,
You're there to go to class. You're there to experience the lifestyle. You're there to grow up and become a man.
absolutely.
And you have to consider all the things that go into that. Not just are you going to be, on scholarship on the football team, because that is a small aspect of your whole life once you're in college on the next level.
Well, what people don't realize either is one injury, it may be the end for you. And that educational aspect of it is, and like I said, we're talking football tonight, but that educational aspect's the most important part of it. So now I want to ask this question because you said something to caught my ear. You had 20 college programs show up, or over 20.
Mm-hmm.
You had FCS, you had Division 3, Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
You said something, and you probably know where I'm about to ask. You said the FBS couldn't come.
Correct.
Whose role is that?
That's
And why is that a role?
NCAA.
Why is that a big role?
For that division level is, sometimes with the NCAA rules are just.
I just wanted to ask because I've been curious for a while. So
yeah, it goes back into what official. It gets really, really sticky, but it gets into what official visits are and what you deem as an official visit. And then you start looking at the recruiting windows, and recruiting windows can be different based on the level of school. And they just made that distinction really because FBS, that's where everybody wants to go. Everybody wants to go to FBS. And I'll be straight up honest with you. Even if they were allowed to come, 95% of them don't need to leave campus in this environment. Because
do you get calls from them?
Do I get calls?
Like, do you get calls like for players from those big schools?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't say much more than that.
Okay, that's fine. No, I kind of figured you couldn't. I didn't know if I was putting you on the spot there or not.
No. We have really good relationships with a lot of schools.
All right.
Back in the past, we actually used to do college coach interviews in the off season.
Okay.
And if you go back in, Football Focus Weekly history, you would see us do interviews with Mac Brown at North Carolina, Will Healy when he was at Charlotte. Oh my gosh. Coach, oh my gosh, how his name was escaping me. He used to coach at Duke.
David Cutcliffe.
Yes, Coach Cutcliffe, really good dude. We did an interview with assistant head coach at Penn State. We've done a ton, and I only say that to say because you asked me the question. That's just the level of relationships we had with a lot of coaches up and down the East Coast. So a lot of people tell me that I am not, I guess, boastful enough. But we have the relationships, and they do reach out about, kids. And, we share what we share, and that's how it goes.
I want to ask too, because we're going to, and I know we're going long on this one topic, but I want to ask because this is something that I've noticed. Because we know, and I don't think it was no big secret, so we can say it here. The quarterback from Grimsley went to Tennessee. Number one player, number one quarterback in the state, number one player I think he was the number one player in the country, if I remember correctly.
For a time, yeah, he was.
For a time, yeah. So, and that's a rare thing to see to see that in North Carolina. Let me ask this question because I've noticed it, and I'm seeing a lot of news on it from a legality standpoint. The transfer portal and the NIL. How much harder has that made it to get high school seniors recruited? Not just in the state of North Carolina, but maybe just all over, in your opinion.
No, it's a major game changer. I mean, there are schools that used to come to our showcases that now tell us that they don't even recruit high school kids anymore. So they don't come to the showcase. And, they're operating out of the transfer portal. And the reason for that is they feel the pressure to win from their universities. So they're going to go and get kids that have been physically developed. They've been through college football programs. They don't need the time to learn how to adjust to playing college football. And they're going to try to win with those older kids. I mean, it only got worse because Indiana won the championship last year. And they were
didn't have a lot of 5 stars.
Right. But they were old and they were experienced. So now, even more so, football programs are going to lean that way. And it just cuts the number of opportunities that younger high school football players, don't get now. Right. The other thing it's done is it's pushed the recruiting calendar back. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about enough. Up until May, we still were seeing in the state of North Carolina 2026 players signed to play college football. That is very rare. And that has really changed, a lot for high school kids. One of the things that I stressed to a parent the other day is be patient. What is happening now with the transfer portal is colleges are sitting there and they are, and this is something that is not being said enough, but some of these colleges are forcing their players into the portal because they don't want them anymore.
Oh man, I never thought about that.
That's happening. And, you'll see players post on social media that, I'm entering the portal and looking for a new home. And, it's not always
their choice.
That's right. Exactly. Wow. So because that's happening and, the portal opens at a specific time and it closes at a specific time, but players can, stay there entering, pretty much whenever. And because of that roster, flux, opportunities for high school kids can come at just about any time here,
Right.
Kids, they don't want to go to they want to go to a different school. They want to, try their chances in the portal and, see what happens. Spots open up late, and it's a number of things that are happening later and later in the recruiting process. So, for high school kids, the opportunities are fewer. I think there's some changes coming down the line to NCAA that may help a little bit. Maybe an age restriction is coming up, maybe a 5 and 5,
right,
with playing 5 years.
I just saw today that Texas Tech's quarterback got another year of eligibility. If that's true, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the source that well, but I know they were arguing over it that they didn't want him another year.
Yeah, and those kind of things, don't help high school kids, obviously.
No. Let's go to high school for a little while then. Let's piggyback off that, man. What is, and I'm just gonna straight out ask it, what is the state of high school football in North Carolina right now?
Wow, that's a good question. I think there's a lot of talent in the state. Doing my work with Prep Reds on North Carolina, you get to see, all the kids, throughout every class. And, the one thing that I really, really am impressed with is the number of high level talented kids that we get that go out of state to these Power 4 programs. And while it's great to see that we produce that talent consistently now, it is very sad that we can't keep these kids in the state.
Well, yeah.
I don't understand why.
I was gonna say, what's causing that they don't want to play in state and they want to go out?
Well, part of it is the in-state, Power 4 programs. Like, if you're North Carolina or NC State or Well, let's just take those two. If you're those two schools and you get the best kids in the state, you're going to be at least an 8-9 winning program consistently, because we've seen what the top kids in this state go do in other places. They go and play well.
Oh, yeah.
And I just don't know why schools like that should be first on our top talent, and they're not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I think
part of it is their staffs, they don't have a real, well, maybe Dorn, has a stronger connection. He's been around for a while. Right. And he's probably done the best in the state with high school recruiting, but they don't have that consistent, strong relationship with our high school coaches in North Carolina. And, I think that's where it starts. And
absolutely.
The perception for years, and it still continues to be, is a college coach will look at recruiting and say, if I can go get the 5th or 6th best guy out of Florida, for example, he's going to be better than the 3rd or 4th best guy in North Carolina. I know there are D2 programs that think that way.
Oh, man.
They don't win. I'll just say that.
Oh, man, yeah. So, talking about high school football and talking about it that way, I want to ask this, and like I said, I'm going to ask about a couple of teams, and I'm not going to ask about the Charlotte. Well, I'm going to ask about one Cabarrus team because my buddy knew I was having you on, and I told him I'd ask about his team. But I want to ask you, since you're going to do, I know you're doing all your Charlotte shows in July and August. I know that's usually how the format works, and I'm sure that's probably going to be the same this year if I'm correct. So because you've seen me on YouTube post about Watauga. I've been posting about Watauga a lot. Then the reason, like I said, I'm in Jonesville, North Carolina, but I used to live in Boone. I lived there for 6 years. My wife and I got married there. So we lived there for 6 years before COVID. And I want to ask, how do you think Watauga is going to do after a 6A state championship this year? How do you think this year's going to look for them?
I think Watauga has earned the right to be an annual contender year in and year out.
It's a good coach.
Yes, that's where I was going. I mean, I really like their program, and I follow them on social media, and I really love the detail and structure of their program, and you can see it. They make their social media posts when they go and practice at 6 a.m., in the spring, and they're going through their drills and how they're laid out and the attention and focus to the smallest of things. They run a good system up there. And they're in that place now where they just kind of reload. They lost a lot of good talent.
They lost, I think, 25 seniors this year.
Yeah. But I mean, they're at a place now where they just reload and they're going to come back. And, people hate going up that mountain, especially when it's cold. And,
I think Forsyth was the last playoff, the regional final up there, and it was 20-something degrees up there, maybe.
Yeah.
And they almost shocked Watauga, but yeah, you're absolutely right, man. It is cold up there, but man, you get used to it. I will say that much. And have you ever been to a Watauga game, just out of curiosity?
I don't think I've ever been to Watauga.
Man, I will tell you, because the way they do their entrances, they come down from the bleachers, run across, they've got the flags, and man, you just see that. If you're in that crowd, and that crowd, that's football, and Boone's a football town. So, so they're loving it. So let's go with, speaking of which, we're going to go 2 more, then I'm going to get to the one I promised my buddy. Let's go with Grimsley. Grimsley's quarterback went to Tennessee.
Yep.
And and he got hurt last year. And he did play a big percentage of the regular season, some of the playoffs, if I'm right. But that left-handed quarterback, that freshman, he came in and played, and man, he was a big reason why they won that state championship as well. So how's Grimsley looking this year?
Well, I mean, that young man's name is Brody Lowe, and we got him highly ranked in the state of North Carolina in his class because of what he showed last year. And that was a lot of poise in the pocket and a lot of accuracy. And he probably threw the deep ball, just as well as Faison Brandon, the young man that went to Tennessee. and that's high praise, but he deserves it. I mean, you don't just see this. You don't see a freshman in high school come in and do the things that they did, and they probably threw the ball more with him than they did with Faison, because Faison is a really good dual threat player.
And I will say this: he is when I watched him, and I don't get impressed that often anymore. But that kid impressed me. For a freshman to impress me like that and to bring him up like that, man, that kid's special. I think, and he's a lefty as well.
Yes. It's a real indication of somebody special when you come in as a backup freshman quarterback and they don't change the offense.
No, not one bit.
Change anything they did from an offensive standpoint. Grimsley also is very strong defensively. They've got a number of kids that they really play well together. That's the one thing that people don't say enough about them, is how well they are coached and how well they work together as a unit. Of course, they have some guys that are, highly recruited, top end type of players, but the coaching staff, led by Coach Brown, and I'll tell you, when I really got into being impressed with Grimsley is and this is years before this is really when they kind of stepped onto that state championship scene.
Oh yeah.
Butler went up there. I think it might have been the COVID year. And they were playing a regional final at Grimsley. Butler had the lead, but Grimsley, it was when Alfonso Barrett was their quarterback, who went on and played it. It was the quarterback for that 70-point game James Madison put on North Carolina.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, he was the quarterback for Grimsley at the time, and they were running this kind of West Coast quick passing system, and it was really impressive how well they executed. And they ran that system, and they got back in the game, and they ended up coming back and beating Butler at their home field. Man. And I said, I was there with my partner, and I said, man, these guys got something up here.
Oh, man. Do you see, we saw we saw Grimsley and West Charlotte in a 1-point ball game at the Carolina, at the Keep Pounding Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see I don't know, I can't remember. I don't think they do play him, but and I know they won't play, but a Huff Grimsley matchup down the line eventually. You've got an 8A state champion.
At this point now, with them both being state champions now, I think the state would welcome it. I think everybody wants to see it again. When those guys, yeah. I mean, when those guys were playing, it was high level football. The last time they played in the playoffs, Huff went up there, and it was an awesome game. I mean, high level coaching on both sides, great play calls. I mean, it was obvious that they were both, holding stuff back all season long. And I mean, Grimsley won that game. I remember talking to, the Huff guys about it. And, unfortunately, they didn't have, some of their best guys. Some of them got hurt during that game. And, Grimsley got them in the end. But, I mean, it was really great football. I'd love to see it.
I'd love to see it again. It was yeah. So, okay, now we're going to go a little smaller ball. And this team apparently, and I think they have the state championship circled on their schedule every year in 2A ball, and we're talking about Tarboro, man. Tarboro's gonna they're gonna make the state championship, right? I mean, because they always got that in there. They've always got that day circled.
I mean, I'll tell you, we're in the western part of the state, and I'm sure nobody from Tarboro will probably see this, but Tarboro, they're known for that patented running game. And it's kind of like, we think about Charlotte Catholic here. What you're going to get, but can you stop it is the question. The way that they're, ingrained into their system, and they just continue to find guys, it's kind of like plug and play, We actually had a young man from Tarboro that came to our showcase.
How'd
Another
he do?
linebacker, good looking kid, athletic. Every time I see them on film, I think the same thing. They're ingrained in their principles. They work hard, they train hard, and they're not going to beat themselves.
No.
And to find someone here to knock them off would really be something. But I mean, even when they went up against, I think they played, was it Corvian?
Yeah. Corvian line.
Yeah,
It was 2 years ago.
yeah. And we know Corvian very well here. We know how much talent they have, but I mean, I picked Tarboro because the experience is there, obviously, with the coaching staff and the players, and that system. It's a bear, and Corvian had some guys that could slow it down, but
Oh yeah.
Tarboro still went up and put out numbers, and that was really impressive.
I'm gonna tell you, when Corvian came up and beat Mount Airy. See, I'm 30 minutes from Mount Airy, and I was, because I told another buddy of mine, I said, if Mount Airy wins this game, they're winning state. They're going to beat Tarboro. They're the only team I think could have.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now Mount Airy's 3A. Now they get to play Shelby and all them. So, which is,
That's
I think,
fun.
oh yeah. Well, Mount Airy should have been higher ball anyway. They were playing in a 1A conference and beating everybody 55-0.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of got like, okay, we're gonna go watch, and oh boy, let's see if somebody can upset them tonight. So last team, and like I said, I promised my buddy this. So it's Cabarrus County team, and this is a team I actually go watch quite a bit with my friends and stuff. A.O. Brown, Kannapolis football. How are they looking this year?
Oh, they're going to be fun on offense. Their quarterback is returning, AJ Settles.
Oh yeah,
he was a top performer at our showcase. He just got his first offer from Hampton.
Oh man, good job.
Great dual threat athlete. He may play a different position in college, but really fun to watch, man. Makes great decisions with the football. Run a little bit of read option with them.
Oh yeah.
The running back Lamar Greer, I think he ran over 1,300 yards last year. He's back for his senior season. Kind of a smaller kid, but runs tough. Good speed in the open field. And they got a couple guys returning on defense. Linebacker Faison Manning was an all-conference player. I believe he just got his second offer, I believe, from either Concord. I think it's Concord University in West Virginia. Okay. So they've got a lot of talent coming back on that team. And Coach Harden, obviously A.L. Brown legend himself.
Quarterback, right?
Yeah. I played against him, as a matter of fact.
Oh man.
Not a fun night.
Well, we won't go into that thing.
But they're probably the favorite to win their conference. They're in that Cabarrus-Mecklenburg combo conference.
Over Olympic?
Yeah. This year, yes.
Oh,
yes,
wow,
Olympic lost their senior quarterback to graduation, obviously.
Okay.
And they've got a couple good players still. But I just think A.L. Brown has a key guys coming back at the right time. And I mean, anytime a team has their starting quarterback coming back, I really like their chances. And, I think they're going to have a really good year this year.
Well, I didn't realize, and my buddy told me, he's like, this is 7. There were 7-3 last year. And I went and looked. I said, no, they were 5-5. And I was like, no, they really were 7-3. Okay. I thought they lost 5, but I remember they had that home playoff game, first round, and then they came up to Fofftown, Winston, and I can't think of the score right now. It's slipping my mind.
Oh, Reagan, maybe?
Reagan, yeah, that was it. And they put up a good showing there for a while, and Reagan beat them. But I agree. I think they're looking good, and I think, like you said, the backfield's back. And that anytime and he's a senior too, so the experience is there too. So that's good. Pep, let's switch gears, man, and let's talk about CFI. Let's talk about where it started for you, man. You coached for how long did you coach? Like, give me the timeline before I get into this question. Like, what was your coaching time?
Yeah. So I started right after I got out of high school. I played at Harding and graduated in 99. I hurt my leg my junior year. Um, I came back and played my senior year, but the doctors told me if I hurt my leg again, that I was going to have problems for the rest of my life. So
Oh,
I told my parents, I said, I'll play my senior year and then we'll see, what happens. I had a couple looks, Davidson Methodist,
right.
Johnson Smith, but I didn't want to risk it. So
Right.
I asked my coach at the time that I just kind of started learning how to coach, and he allowed me to do that. So I did that at Harding, and then I just kind of worked my way up. Became an offensive line coach, became JV head coach.
Okay.
Um, and then,
This is at Harding first, right?
yeah,
Okay.
then I became an offensive coordinator and did that for a while. I went over to Waddell High School in Charlotte when it was open. I was there
I've
for a
never
couple
heard of
years. I went back to Harding in 2010 with my buddy Mark Sanders as the head coach. I was assistant head coach, offense coordinator then. We had a really fun year. We got to the playoffs. We had an all-observer receiver, Preston Earl. We had a freshman running back make all conference, and Sean Wilson, who ended up going to the NFL.
That's awesome.
Yeah. 2011, I went over to Myers Park. Was JV head coach over there. Then I took a couple years away because I thought I was done coaching, but then in 2014, Harding was in a tough place. They had a coach leave late, so they named the basketball coach the head coach. And then the basketball coach called me and said, "Hey, man, I need you to come run the football program."
Oh boy.
So I came back to Harding for the third time.
No
And
boy.
it was really a year just to kind of set the program up for the future,
I see.
And a little known fact, that year we had some talented freshmen and we kept them together on JV. And the year after that, Sam Griner, a guy you probably know.
Oh, and yeah, I
Yeah,
heard of
Sam
him.
Griner's got
Good coach.
the year after that. And, 3 years later, they won the state championship in 2017.
Saw that. That's awesome.
And, Sam Griner back then was around, when I was coaching at Harding. And, he would, it's a little known story. He would come around and kind of hang around a little bit. And I asked one of the kids, I said, "Man, who is that guy? I'm like, why is he always around here?" And like, "Man, that's just Coach Griner, man. He coaches in the weight room, man. You ain't got to worry about him."
Looking at him, he looked like he coached in the weight room. So if I ever saw him up close, I'd probably be like scared because he. So just a side story here for a minute. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a WWE wrestling fan. I went to Raw a couple of weeks ago in Greensboro, and for the first time ever, Brock Lesnar showed up in Raw. And you've seen Brock Lesnar. TV does not do the man justice. He is big and scary. So, and I've heard he's a quiet, independent guy, and a nice guy. But that's just that's what I'm saying here. The pictures and the videos probably don't do Griner justice. He looks a lot stronger than his. Where can I ask where he is? Like, can we get into? I don't want to get into all the backstory, but where is he at? Is he still in North Carolina?
Yeah, he's still here.
Is he coaching?
Right now, I think he's just kind of weighing his options right now and seeing, what might happen.
Okay.
But yeah, he's still here. He's got family here. He's married and, and living life. He's a great coach. He's really a great coach, and he's a friend of mine. So,
and he took Charlotte to a state championship a year before they probably were supposed to go to a state championship and win it. If I saw it right.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people were kind of, questioning that because they were 3A. And, at the time we were still 4 classifications here in North Carolina. And, people, how they are, they won the 3A championship and all this stuff. But
State.
they won it. It's a championship, and he gets
state championship's a state championship, no matter if you're 1A, 2A, 3, or 4A, or whatever you are now, 8 classifications later. And so you coached and you set the team up. Sam Griner takes Harding to a state championship.
Yep.
And CFI starts in 2019.
Yeah.
What got you into what brought you back? Let's start there.
So, the time I took away from coaching in 2012, 2013, I started working with a group called Carolina Varsity, which I'm sure, if you've been around high school football, you've heard that name.
Oh, I know.
Dale Ross was the guy behind, well, he still is, I shouldn't say was. Dale Ross was the guy behind Carolina Varsity. And, we started doing a lot of the stuff now from a covering games perspective that we do at CFI. I was with them for about 5 years, and we had discussions about trying to grow and do things a certain way, and how business goes. You have you want to do, and they have things they want to do, and
absolutely.
You try to talk through it, and you decide that it's probably better that we go our separate ways, and we did that. And then CFI was born in March of 2019, and CFI has been something that has been a major passion thing for me.
Absolutely.
It's not something that we do for money, because there's not a lot of money in it, to be honest about it. But we started by covering games and doing previews and all this stuff. Now I started with my good friend and producer Brandon Black, if you watch Football Focus Weekly, and the queen of CFI, Cherie Glenn. And
talk about her for a minute, because and we'll get to Brandon Black when we go to the shows. But talk about her for a minute, like give her some love, and because whenever I promote businesses and promote stuff like this, I always want the guy I'm talking to. I want them to show love to their I say employees, but show love to their comrades.
Well, I can tell you, Cherie is like the sister I never had, and she had a passion for high school football that it took me a while to understand, how much she loved doing this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people saw me and Cherie do this stuff, and they wondered, what was the deal with her? I used to get that question a lot.
Oh boy.
Cherie was not necessarily in a place where she had a lot of free time. Cherie worked 2 jobs, and when she started working with me at CFI, she was married, and this was an escape for her to get away from everything going on in her life. And she loved covering high school football. She loved being on the sidelines. She loved, interviewing kids, getting, meeting the coaches, everything that had to do with the sport. She loved it. She got into the photography side of it.
Oh man.
She was great, and I say was because unfortunately a couple years ago she passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But she had some health, stuff going on that she kept quiet. She didn't, broadcast it or anything.
Right.
Up until the end, she did stuff for CFI and sports in general. She was a big time Panthers fan.
Oh man.
I mean, to the point where she would talk about the Panthers every show. Even in the off season, it was always something about the Panthers. But there's no way I would be sitting here now with CFI if she didn't agree to come and start this with me because we did every show together. We covered games together. We would go to separate games, and she doubled obviously what we could put out there. She was wonderful, and like I said, she was the sister I never had, and I appreciate you giving me the chance to talk about her because we probably don't talk about her enough, but I know for a fact she would be so proud to see where we are right now, because one of the things she always used to tell me was, I know this is going to grow into something big, and I want to see it. And the first big showcase we did at Malley Creek High School, she was there and she saw it, and she did what she did. She was putting stuff out on social media, and she was not in a good place health-wise, but she wanted to see it. She wanted to see it. And
wow, and that's awesome, man. Those are the stories I love to hear, man. That's awesome to show love like that. And man, like I said, I'm going to save Brandon Black for just a minute. I'm going to give you a chance to talk about him. But the shows, Football Focus Weekly, was born out of that. Am I right on that?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
So you're entering. What'd you say? 8? Is it season 8?
Yes, it'll be season 8 somehow.
Man, like I said, I started watching season 5, and don't
watch the earlier seasons.
So I saw a clip of the very first show you did.
Oh God!
And I don't remember who put it up, but you put it up you put it up in season 5. That's how much I remember this. So, and you can tell then you were nervous, man, and everything. And I'm sure, and something, it's like me. I get nervous every time I do an introduction or an interview, and I'm sure you still do. You still get those nerves on these shows as well. But let's talk. So you had 2 Football Focus Weeklies during the COVID year, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, that's correct. Yeah. That's
so
correct.
Tell me, let's get into that a little bit. So tell me, how did that work? Because if I remember correctly, there was 2 seasons, was half the state played in the fall and half played in the spring, and were there state championships? Am I missing something? Because I think I am missing something on all this.
Yeah. So what happened during the COVID year was obviously Charlotte did not play, but the private schools NCISAA played, and then South Carolina played. So what we did that year was in the fall. That was actually when we did our first showcase. Believe it or not, in the middle of COVID.
Okay. Hold on. I've got to ask, because back then we weren't allowed to do as much social. We had the word social distancing came up quite a bit. How did y'all pull that off?
Well, I'll tell you, we were crazy. Coach Dub, Robert Washington, if you watched the show. Talked me into doing this showcase in the middle of COVID. And I said, first of all, I'm not in this to do showcases. Like, I work a full-time job. Like, I don't have a time to do all the stuff that is required to do a showcase. And he kept pestering me about it. And I said,
you're going to share this podcast, right? Because I want him to see this.
Oh, he knows the story.
Yeah. So I got to get him on the show and have him talk about this. So, but so go on. I didn't.
Yeah. So we started putting together, protocols and how could we do this safely, and mandating, the mask and, distancing. I mean, we had to get a deputy out there and, watch the field. Oh yeah, it was something.
Sounds like
we did it on Friday night, and it was a beautiful Friday night in September. And because Charlotte didn't have football, we had a lot of people come out here up in Mountain Island, and it was really cool to see that. And
now you're talking fans, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably a little over 200 kids, and they came from all over the state because there were a lot of jurisdictions that weren't playing.
Oh man.
And to get out there on a Friday night and do some football stuff was really, really exciting at the time. But back to the original question, we covered private school football and we covered some South Carolina football because those are the ones that were playing. And it got us a chance to see some places that otherwise we wouldn't see. I mean, we were doing games. We drove down to Irmo, South Carolina,
I know exactly where you're
Tyler
at.
Ridge and Irmo in the playoffs.
And that's not a short drive either.
No.
Let's put that up. And on 85, it's terrible right now.
Well, Aaron Brand obviously coached in Charlotte for years. We knew him really well. So I reached out to him. I said, hey, man, can we come down here and cover this game? He said, absolutely. Come on down. And we did. But we covered a lot of upstate South Carolina. We went to Nations Ford. We went to Fort Mill. We went to dang on, what was the other school we went to?
Rock Hill?
I didn't remember. No, we didn't go to Rock Hill. We didn't go to Rock Hill. Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we did. We went to District 3 Stadium. That's why I wasn't thinking about it. We went to District 3 a couple times, South Point, all those upstate schools, mixing in with the private schools, and not only Division I private schools in North Carolina, but Division II. We were going to Kennett School. We were going to Country Day, Charlotte Christian, Providence Day. I think we even covered Raven Gap. We didn't go to Raven Gap, but we covered it.
Are they still in North Carolina Conference?
I haven't heard anything definitive. I know that, North Carolina wanted to get rid of them, but
nobody wants them in their conference, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to have to end up playing like an independent,
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
So you traveled a lot during the COVID year, and now where are we at? 26 now. 6 years later, 8 seasons later, you're starting your 8th season, and I want to show some love to all those guys that you got on, and I'm gonna start with one, and then I'm gonna let you go from there.
Okay.
I want you to show. Well, I'm gonna name two, but the first one, I want you to show some love to Coach Billups. And let me say why. Because when I first started watching him, I was like, "Who is this guy?" And I was like, "He's crazy," and it drew me in because I love that about him. I was like, "This guy is I like this. This guy talks more than me," and so again, it took a minute to get used to him, but show some love starting with him.
So Coach Billups, Brandon Billups, he coached at several schools in Charlotte, but he also played football at West Charlotte High School. And, I played at Harding, and we're around the same age. So, of course, when he started coaching, we connected and we started learning that we knew a lot of the same people. And he's a really good coach. I mean, people don't know this, but he was a defensive coordinator the last time Cox Mill and Concord made the playoffs a couple years ago. And he left and decided to focus on taking care of his family. Saw what happened, when with that program. So he's a really good coach, and especially his defensive backs. But obviously you see he has a vibrant personality. But he is also my brother, now the stuff I said about Cherie, Billups is probably, the most genuine person, that you could ever meet. There's not going to be any BS about, where you stand with him, how he feels, the way he is on the show. That's how he is. I mean, it's genuine, but he's a great guy. And like I said, if you ever needed something from him, he'll give it to you if he's got it. You can
Oh yeah,
always,
man.
he's one of those guys you want to be in a foxhole with. I'll put it that way.
Right. And so I know he's a Ram. I noticed he was a Rams fan because I remember when the Panthers beat the Rams in that game, and I think I said it. I think I said, "How about them Panthers?" And you pulled him up as soon as I said it, which I started laughing, and I was like, "Yep, I don't want." And his look, I was like, "I'm glad I'm not on the show right now." What he would say, but man, all right, so getting off him, I want to talk about Bradford Prep first time head coach Adam Weber. Man, give him some love, give him some shout outs.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam's a good young coach. You know, um he really kind of came to us because of all the Cleveland County football that we were talking, and he wanted to talk about his favorite program, the Shelby Golden Lions, where he played.
Shout out to
And
them. They just won a state title too.
yeah, yeah, but he's a really good young defensive coach. He was good defensive coordinator last year at Independence, and he's kind of grown. He's grown, through the last few years up the ranks and getting that head coaching job at Bradford. I'm really happy for him.
Right.
He's dedicated to the game. I know a lot of young coaches. He really loves the game of football. And if you're going to be a successful coach, you got to love the game, because there's going to be times where it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be tough games. It's going to be tough situations with players, parents, administration. And to get through those kind of stuff, you got to love the game. And he definitely does. And, I love his passion. That's hard to find, someone who wants to continuously learn and get better, and he does. And I even apply that to the show. Like, if you go back and watch him in the beginning, he was, a young guy who was excited to get, screen time and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But he's grown and matured now, and now he takes being on the show very seriously. He's always the first one to ask me for our topics, so he can study up and know what he's talking about when he gets on screen. And he's professional in everything he does. And I think this is just the start of a really good career for him, coaching.
One thing too is he's the first head coach. He gets to put his mark on that team first and leave what he wants that team to be, which is very special and very, I don't want to say rare. Well, I guess I can say rare, but it's a special thing. So for that team, and I've seen his knowledge on the show, and I think they're getting a great hire. So, and again, I've never met him, but everything I've seen, everything I hear is just amazing. Let's go to McClamrock. Let's go to Coach McClamrock for a minute. And he is now the Community School of Davison head coach from Rocky River High School. And man, just give him some love, man.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Kenneth, people don't understand, how close we are, because even going all the way back to our high school days, and I didn't know this at the time, but he was playing tight end at Concord when I was playing O-line and D-line at Harding.
Okay.
So we play against each other, and I didn't even know this until he was coaching at Central Cabarrus many years later, and I was out doing my, interview tours, and we did our interview stuff, and then we just kind of sat down at Central Cabarrus, and we just started talking, and I'm like 2 hours later, we're still out there talking.
Wow.
That was the first time I'd ever met him.
Right.
And ever since then, back at that time, he told me that, he was possibly going to take a break from coaching because he had 2 young kids and a family, and he wanted to spend more time with them. So he said at the time, I'd be interested in joining you and doing what you're doing. And, I hear that, sometimes, and I was just kind of like, okay, cool. Not really thinking much of it. And then, he got out of coaching, and then he sent me a message and saying, "Hey, are you still doing this stuff?" And I said, "Yeah." So then from there, anything that I was doing, I would, ask him about it or include him on it. And then that just kind of grew into being a part of the show. And, he's done a really great job with over the years, just the knowledge that he has, obviously from being a head coach, but knowing the area also, is really, really, great. And, he can bring that historical perspective, especially from Cabarrus County, which is one of our main areas. But he also does a lot of stuff with the showcase that I don't think
he's posting it all the time too. And he's got one I see him and you post a lot of that, and he's really promoting it. So and like I said, I follow him. I follow him on probably all my socials actually. Just to see that love for football, man, and to see what he wants to do for high school kids is just amazing.
Yeah, he's an excellent father and a really good advocate for the game and doing things the right way. And he's a really good coach, and I don't think we talk about that enough. When he was at Sunch Cabarrus and they were 8-0 and they were going to play Northwest Cabarrus, who was 8-0 at the time. Right. That was probably one of the biggest games in regular season Cabarrus County history.
Oh man.
And, we were there covering that game. And there's a funny moment. There was a bad call, and I think well, I don't think I know. The official threw the flag, and Kenneth picked the flag back up and threw it back at the official.
I'm gonna assume that he got tossed after that.
I don't know if he got tossed or not, but I know he had a penalty on him. But
yeah. Well, and in today's era of football, folks, just a little side note: if you're a coach, do not pick up the flag and throw it at the official. We do not promote that here, but that is pretty fun. It did not get tossed. That's man. Those officials must have really liked him.
Well, I mean, it was a really big game, and I think they used their discretion.
Right. I wish officials would do that more. I really
all jokes aside, though, Kenneth is a really, really, good friend of mine. I consider him a brother. We've had some really good times in doing the show and the showcase, and he's going to do a really great job at Community School Davidson. That is out in my mind. I think that's a really good job, where he's going to show what he can do with some talented kids up there.
I will say I loved the running joke one Friday night Fowler was here, and he did his rankings that people wanted Community School Davidson on his rankings. And I think I saw you put them on there and sneak them in there one time. So, but I'm going to have to go catch a game there, man. I keep hearing about this school, so I'm going to have to go there. Two more. We got two more, I think, and and if I'm missing one, you let me know. But probably the guy I watch and get my wing information from the most, plus football, Coach Dub, Robert Washington. Because, and let me explain that saying for a minute. So when you did that segment, he had wings with him that night, and every time I hear it, I hear that he's a wing guy. So I'm like, where's he get? I'm like, maybe let's listen to him for a minute. Where's a good place in Charlotte to get something? And I see him eating them all. I saw him eating like once or twice on the show. So Robert Washington, man, he is the Mountain Island Charter head coach, which they've come up to Allegheny County once. And I think Allegheny County's came. See, that's where I'm originally from. Okay. I think Allegheny County went to them once. And I think and when I've looked at it, they've both been competitive games. Mountain Island has beat them both times. But talk about Robert Washington, man.
Well, first of all, Robert Washington is a great guy.
Absolutely.
I've known him for a long time. The first time I ever met him was when I was doing my interview tours, and I came up there. And I was there for a long time. I interviewed maybe 13 of their kids, and I finished with him. And he thanked me profusely for coming up there because he said nobody would come and cover them because they were a charter school. And at the time, I didn't think about the hate charter schools were getting. But once I started looking into it, I said, wow, this is real. People do not like charter schools. And
I don't see, and I don't see why. I don't get it.
yeah, well, there's a whole lot. We can talk about that on the whole nother time. There's a whole lot that goes into
we'll start. We'll do another episode just on that. So,
ever since that first time I met him, he asked me to come by, pretty much every year since then, and I would,
you're right.
And from there we started talking about things that we had in common, and he grew up in the area, and of course once again we knew some of the same people, so he went to a friendship. And of course I just told the showcase story with him, and
right,
as time has gone on, it's only grown stronger and stronger throughout the years with our friendship. I covered, some of his sons, that did really well on the football field. And, one of the big things about Robert is he really knows his stuff. He's not only a coach, he's a guidance counselor, a certified guidance counselor, and an athletic director. So those aspects of knowledge really bring depth to our show.
absolutely.
And, that's something you just don't see a lot, is all these different perspectives that we have, on the show. And Robert, brings that in abundance. He's very passionate. And as you said about the wings, we have a group text, and anytime someone brings up food, he's the first one to respond. He's always interested in who's eating what and where is it coming from. And my wife
you're
is
gonna have to send me some where you live in Charlotte, because I don't know a lot of those places. Man, please send me some places to go try wings. This show's over.
Well, yeah, he's a really, really good guy. He loves his kids.
Oh yeah.
And he's a really great coach. A lot of people don't know this. He's like a 3-time state championship track
he's a track head coach too. Yeah. I noticed that.
Yeah, and he's really passionate about that too. So,
and I hear him say that's where his football team starts, is on track and field.
Now I will say yes to a degree, but he coaches them legit on the track. Like,
right. No, that's what I mean. Because the speed and all the stuff, because they're I believe they're a 2A school, and so you got multiple players play multiple sports. So he said that's where a lot of it starts. So, which I that's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. All right, man. I saved him for last, but obviously he's not last. You talked about Brandon Black, and man, show him some love, man. Just have at it.
Well, Brandon is probably the one that knows me the most because he was my teammate.
Right.
We played football together at Harding, and he was a year behind me. But he was a defensive lineman. I played both sides of the ball. Brandon started doing this stuff with me just because I think he was just bored.
Oh boy.
I started doing this stuff at Carolina Varsity, and he would ask me like, "Man, what you doing tonight?" I said, "I'm going to cover a high school game." He was like, "Football?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, "You want to come?" He was like, "Oh, okay." That's really how this started. Like,
wow. People don't understand it, that just as simple as that. Sometimes, I mean, it's not the major big thing. It's just as simple as, yeah, come on, let's go cover a game.
He's a great friend. We've been through, some of the biggest things, in life together.
Right.
He has taken on a role that has been essential. He takes all the pictures at the games that we cover together, and he's gotten really good at doing that. Like, starting out, we didn't have no clue what the hell we were doing. Like, I bought this big fancy camera and it's got all these settings and stuff on it. And we're just like, okay, let's just put it on auto and see what happens.
Oh my, oh boy.
So
Oh,
we took for like 2 years, we were just taking pictures in auto. And I mean, they were coming out all right. But then he was like, okay, this off season, I'm gonna learn something about this camera. And he started studying, and now he knows how to kind of set it, a certain way with the light and all the stuff with that. And his pictures have gotten a lot better as the years have gone on. But he also is the man behind the camera when I do all the interviews at games and things like that. And this past year, I gave him a chance to kind of be on camera, and he's done some interviews with kids, and he's more comfortable with doing that.
Okay.
So, it's to a point now to what you're going to see this season, and I haven't really shared this yet. But because of my job and what I do, there's going to be Fridays where I can't cover games. So he's going to cover games solo, and he'll be doing some interviews after the games by himself.
If he wants somebody to hold a camera for him, call me. I'll come hold one of him. I'll be honest. I love doing that stuff, man. That's what I'm actually going to school for, all that stuff.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. But man, like I said, if you need something, holler, man. We'll make something work.
Okay. But Brandon, has been, one of my best friends, ever since high school. And, I don't know, I don't know what else to say about him other than, he does some really cool stuff in his professional career.
Right.
And you always want to have good people around you. And
absolutely,
not only Brandon, but the whole group. They're all really good people, and they're all doing good things in life, and
sure.
That's the thing I love about the group that we have is they're all great people. And I made a statement a couple years ago, and I said, what this group is special. You don't see this every day. Like, these guys don't get paid. Like, if we have a showcase or something and they work the showcase, yeah, they get paid. But outside of that, doing the show, they don't get paid. Social media,
it's just a passion for them.
Get paid. It's all guys with the same passion and focus, and all working together to achieve the goal of making sure these kids get a great experience.
Absolutely.
And, if they want to go play college football, we got them in the right way. Parents, we support them, and then we promote all of those entities. Even parents, when they comment on the show, we had regulars. I love seeing regulars, comment on the show, and week in, week out, it's really cool. It's really cool. And coming up on season 8, and then hopefully we can my goal is at least 10 seasons, and then we'll see where we are. But
man, don't,
we got a couple more years to go.
Please don't stop. I've already. We're going to post this in like 2 months. So, Pep, we are a little over time, but I want to get this in because I feel it's important. And time I'm not worried about anymore. But Pep, the Queen City Senior Bowl. I wanted to get this in. I wanted to save this for last.
Okay.
Now let's dispel the rumors first. This is not your game. This is not CFI's game. Now, when you sent me the info that I asked for, I don't know if I thought it was, but I remember you saying it. I remember on a lot of shows you said it wasn't. But whose game? Let's dispel all this. Whose game is it? And what does CFI? What role does CFI play in the Queen City Senior Bowl?
Okay. So first of all, the game is officially put on by the Alliance Sportsmanship Foundation, and that's owned by a gentleman by the name of Damon White.
Okay.
Ian is a really, really smart guy. He does a lot of TV production for college football games all over the country.
Okay.
Uh, very humble. You know, he does not put himself out there as the face of the game, but he's the Queen City Senior Bowl.
Okay.
CFI is a partner with the Queen City Senior Bowl, and our role is kind of multifaceted. We're a player liaison, coach liaison, and then of course the media aspect of it. So
Right.
those are the three areas we focus on the most. Player selection is a big part of it, which is where the rumors come from.
Well, and that's so that's I think that's where everybody thought it at first was, hey, he's because, and here's why I think that, because you were announcing the players on your platforms,
Right.
and I think that's where everybody's like, well, he's picking them, he's one, and for a minute I was like, and I never thought you did it alone, and I was like, who's he working with to pick these players? Because now you don't pick the coaches either, do you? Or do you have a say in that as well?
So there's a board of directors for the bowl game.
Okay.
Of course, Damon is on it. Bobby Collins, who was the head coach at South Point High School in South Carolina, is on it.
Okay.
Vernon Hunter, who is the athletic director at Indian Land High School in South Carolina, is on it. And then we solicit selections from coaches in the area.
Okay.
And then we have an application process where players can apply to play in the bowl game. And there's a selection process involved from those applications as well.
And that goes that when does that open? And let me ask it this way: when does that open and when does that close? The application process.
So typically it'll open, I believe, after either week 3 or week 4 of the regular season, because it gives the players a chance to get, that first 3 or 4 game film to submit as part of the application process. And then it will close roughly mid-October is when it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into the other aspect of this too. The proceeds, and I'm not going to butcher the school, so I'm just going to let you talk it. What school does it go to?
So proceeds from the game will go to the Metro School in downtown Charlotte, and the Metro School is a school that teaches and kind of nurtures kids that have a variety of developmental disabilities, whether physical, mental, or emotional. And they do a great job, with everything that they do over there. And Miss Dyson, the principal of Metro School, has been a great partner in the bowl game. And one of the best things that the Queen City Senior Bowl does is they go a pep rally every year. And this is where Damon shines. This is his thing. And he will never say it, but Damon organizes the pep rally for the Metro School. And they see this as the Super Bowl. So he gets bands to come over there, cheerleaders to come over there, and they celebrate the kids in a type of parade. So like the cheerleaders and the band will come down in a kind of parade fashion, and the kids will come down escorted by players that play in the game.
Okay.
And Damon organizes all this and does a great job with it. And it's really, really awesome. And I know we got some news coverage from it a couple years ago, but I think every year, people need to see, what this bowl game means to those kids, because it is really special. And I tell the players every year, man, they look at you guys like you're the NFL.
Right.
Because they know it's going to happen because it happens every year, and they get so excited about it because you think about a child who has a tougher, upbringing, and the things that they can look forward to put a smile on their face, to make something special. That's what the Queen City Senior Bowl does for these kids outside of the financial donations to the school. It's the experience that those kids get. And I'll tell you, the players that are involved in it, every year they tell me when a game day comes, like, Coach, I didn't know that it was like that. You know, that really meant something to me. And that's one of the most rewarding things out of working in that bowl game is seeing those kids' reactions and hearing that from the players. And it makes a difference on both sides.
Absolutely. Well, Pep, man, we've went long, and I know I didn't think we would, but man,
I talk too much. I'm sorry.
No, man. I have enjoyed every minute of this, man. I'm just soaking this all in, honestly. But Pep, so let me ask the last question. Tell them your socials. Where can they find y'all?
Yeah, so you see on the screen, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Petman704. For our showcases, we're also on there at CFI Showcases. Facebook is Charlotte Football Insiders. Instagram is Charlotte Football Insiders. YouTube, Matt Marrow, it'll come up. That's where we are, man. Check us out. We do stuff all year long, and we appreciate a follow, and
Absolutely.
shout us out.
Guys, CFI Showcase, CFI Charlotte Football Insiders. Guys, if you go to a game this year and you see any of the guys from Charlotte Football Insiders, show them some love. Let them know you appreciate them, guys, because this is something they love to do. They want to promote your players. They want to promote your kids and help them not only get that scholarship to play football, but just to get into college, guys. So, man, Pat, man, thank you so much for taking the time, man. I appreciate this so much.
Oh, thank you,
man. And also, man, and like I said, and I'll say with this, man, if Riding with Junebuggy can help y'all in any way, Junebuggy Studios, you let us know, man. We're starting to open up our studios to some people to start promoting some things. So, and what that is, and I'm gonna just say it here on the show, is we like to edit. We can edit for you. We can do some things that need to be. We can do camera stuff for y'all, anything. So any of that, man, you need, man, get a hold of me. I would love to help y'all out any way I can. So, and also, Pep, for coming on the show, I haven't promoted these guys that much, but we do have a T-shirt. It's a Riding with Junebuggy T-shirt. Oh, and the shirt is made by N&T's Designs here in Jonesville, North Carolina, local business. So we love to promote that. And guys, go follow Riding with Junebuggy on Facebook, Instagram. We might have a TikTok by the time this episode airs. I'm not sure. Somebody should, I think, making one. So, and then go like and subscribe on YouTube. We might be on Spotify by the time this airs. Again, we're going to post this the last Tuesday before August, the last Tuesday of July. But man, Petman, thank you so much for coming on. And for the Petman, Matt Marrow, I'm JJ the Junebuggy Junior Mabe, and we will see you next time on Riding with Junebuggy.